Hi, welcome to Creating the Goods. I'm Wendy. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm so glad that you found me. If you aren't new, welcome back. I'm so glad that you're here. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make beautiful rolled paper flowers. And we're going to be putting them into a shadow box just in time for St. Patrick's Day. So some of the materials that we'll need for today's video is, of course, a shadow box. And I'm going to be using this 8x8 shadow box. And I got this at Michael's, and it came in a package of 3. We're going to need some scrapbook paper, and I found this cute little clover, different colors of clovers. I think I got that over at Hobby Lobby. We're going to need a couple mats. You're going to need a fine grip mat, which is your blue, and we're going to need a strong grip mat because I am using this Cricut holographic vinyl, and it's pretty thick, and you need a strong grip mat to hold this down. I'm also going to be using this glitter glue, and I believe I got this over at Walmart. Of course, some transfer tape, and I got this great transfer tape off of Amazon. Some cotton and alcohol to wipe down the glass on our shadow box. And of course, we're going to need paper. And I got this, it's pretty heavy, 110-pound paper. I'm just using white today, and there's 275 sheets in here. And I got this over at Sam's Club for only $10. Great deal. You're going to need a machine of your choice. I'm using the Maker today, but you could always use the Air Explorer too if you happen to have that. And I'm going to be using my Lynn Lily glue gun and also some tweezers. I'm using a dowel, but you could also use a pencil if you happen to have that. So all the materials that I'm using in today's video, I'll be putting in the description box below. So if you like this tutorial, please give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and ring that bell for future videos. So without any further ado, let's get started, and I'll meet you in Design Space. Okay, here we are in Cricut Design Space, and most of you know I always like to show you what the end project is going to look like. So here's our shadow box. It is a 8x8 shadow box, but the outside from the frame is 9x9. So we're only going to be working with the inside, which is 8x8. And I'm not going to fill it all up with our roses because I want our scrapbook paper to come through. And as you can see, that is our scrapbook paper. If you would like to see a tutorial on how to add your own patterns to Cricut Design Space, please leave me a comment in the comments section below, and I'd be happy to show you how to do that. Also, here is our cute little template that we will be making our roses. And here is our SVG that we'll be putting on our glass. So let's go ahead and get started. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to move our frame out of the way so we can work on our template. I got our template for our flowers and our SVG both at designbundles.net, and I'll leave a link for you in the description box below. Also, I did a video on showing you how to download SVGs as well as upload them in Cricut Design Space, and I'll leave a link for you up here in the corner of this video as well as in the description box below. So let's go ahead and start sizing our template so we can make our flowers. So I'm just going to move our SVG out of the way, and we'll come back to that a little bit later. And I'm just going to move that up, move that out a little bit. Now, some of you, I've heard that you always struggle, you never know what size to make your template. Normally, you always want your template to be about 4 times the size of your flower. So I want to make my flower 1.5 inches. So what I'm going to do is, it's simple math. I want it 4 times the size, the template. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply 1.5 times 4. So that means my template is going to be 6 inches. So that way my flowers will be 1.5 inches. So let me give you another example. Say you want your flower to be 2 inches. So if you go with the rule of thumb of your template being 4 times the size, 4 times 2 is 8. So your template will be 8 inches. I will leave for you different size of templates in the description box below, showing you what your end result flower will be. So let's go ahead and take our template here. And again, I want my flowers to be 1.5 inches. So I'm going to come up here to where it says size, and I'm just going to go by the width here, and I'm going to change that to 6.0. And just click. And that will make the height appropriate size. Okay, so now I need to change the color. I'm going to be making my flowers all white, and I'm going to be putting pretty glitter glue, if you will, on the petals. So let me come over here to the top where you see the little black swatch up here by the line type. Click on that, and I'm going to just change that to white. Okay, so now I have my template. I'm going to be making 9 of these. So now what I need to do is just come over here and click 8 more times. Okay, so now I have it. So I'm just going to bring that all up, just so that it's organized better, that's all. Doesn't have to be perfect because the Cricut will get it all organized for you on the mats. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I'm just going to highlight all of them, and I'm just going to click group. Okay, so now I'm just going to move that out of the way. So let's work on our SVG. Make that bigger so we can see what we're doing. Okay, so here's our SVG. Now, as you can see, it's multiple colors, and I just want one color. I'm going to be making it holographic gold. So how I do that is I'm going to click on my SVG because it's all grouped together. So I need to come over here and click ungroup. So now everything is ungrouped, and I can move it around different pieces if I want to. So what I'm going to do is, just so that it's easy, I'm just going to click on one particular item, and I'm going to just pick this clover. And I'm going to come up here to the top, and I'm just going to pick this pretty yellow, if you will. Okay, so that'll be a gold, the same color as this gold, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Let's come over here to where it says color sync. Click on that, and you can see all the different colors that are in all of our designs. You can see our pretty roses, and you can see the white as well as our gold on our roses. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to color sync it, and I'm just going to take all of our clover here. See our clovers? This is the clovers where it says so lucky, okay? And I'm just going to move it up to here. So that way it will be all the same color. See what I'm doing? I'm just holding it and bringing it up. So everything is changing. Okay, you can see it as it goes. So now I'm just going to do that with all these hearts, and I'm just going to bring that down. Okay, so now we have one color. So I'm going to come back over here to where it says layers, and I'm just going to highlight all of my layers, and I'm going to group it because I don't want anything moving around. Okay, perfect. Now I need to size it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to our example, and I'm going to just remove our roses so that way we get a good visual of the size that we need to make for our SVG. Remember that we are working with the inside, so that is 8 by 8. So I'm going to move my SVG. Okay, I'm just going to right click it and send that to the front. Okay, bring that over. And I'm going to just come down here to the padlock, unlock it, come over here to the right where the little sizer is, and I'm just going to move it and stretch it out a little bit, move it over, Okay, I don't want my SVG to be too small, but yet again, I don't want to be overpowering where I want it to fit inside the frame. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Maybe down a little more. Okay, move that over. And I think I like that. Okay, I'm going to just lock the padlock, flowers, bring that, and just slip that on underneath. So that will give us an idea of what the finished product will look like. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to now make it. So I don't need my shadow box anymore. So I'm just going to close that out, come over here where it has the group. There's a little eyeball, and I'm just going to click on that. That will remove that. Our flowers here. Okay, I'm going to, here's the group because they're already grouped, and I'm just going to click on the eyes so we don't have that anymore. So now I have my SVG, and I have all of my templates for my flowers that I'll be making. So let me show you what would happen with the next step, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's come up here to the top where it says make it. Okay, so here's the mat. Now, because my paper is 8.5 by 11 and I'm using 6-inch templates, I'm only going to be able to fit one template on each piece of paper. So I'm making 9 flowers, so I'll need 9 pieces of cardstock. Now let me come on down here, and you'll see this is my SVG, and it's a mess. Okay, so there's one step that we need to do before we go and send it to our machine. So let me go ahead and click cancel, which is right down here at the bottom. Okay, I'm going to highlight my layers, and I'm going to come down here and click weld. So everything will cut out in one continuous piece. Just as you see it, that's how it'll cut out. So now I can continue and click on make it. And let's scroll down so that way you'll see it. I'll click on that. And there it is. There's our design. It's all in one piece. Okay, so what I need to do now is I don't need to mirror this because this is not HTV or iron-on as Cricut goes by. So what I need to do is I just need to hit continue. Okay, it's found my machine, the maker. If you are using the Air Explorer 2, just turn your smart dial to custom, and then this page should just pop right up for you. Okay, I already have my cardstock listed here under my favorites, but if you don't have that, let me show you how to find it. Come over here to Browse All Materials, click on that. Come up here to All Categories, click on the down arrow. Come down to cardstock, and you just search for the cardstock that you are using. I'm using the heavy. Okay, so I'm just going to click on that and click on done. Base material set as heavy cardstock. The pressure for my blade will be default. I already went ahead and did a test cut. Please always do a test cut. It could be a small circle, star, whatever it may be, but please always do a test cut. It will save you a lot of time and headaches. And I went ahead and I did that, and mine will stay at default. Okay, my tools are already in my clamp B. I'm using the fine point blade. So let's go ahead and meet me at my design table so we could get our paper ready for cutting. Okay, here I am at my design table, and I'm going to take my white cardstock and put it on my light grip mat. And I'm also going to use my brayer just to make sure that the paper is well adhered to the mat, so that way it doesn't shift or move during cutting. A good habit is to always check your blade to make sure there's no residue on there or old vinyl, because if there is, your project will not cut out properly. Okay, I'm going to load my mat, make sure it's between the two clamps. My star wheels are in the appropriate position, so that way it will keep the cardstock well adhered to my mat and it will cut out properly. The arrow button is flashing, I'll click on that. The C button is flashing, I'll click on that, and it will begin cutting. Okay, it's finished cutting. I'll press on the arrow button to release my mat, and there's my flower template. Okay, so next I'm going to remove the negative cardstock from my template. I'm going to do this very carefully. My mat is new, so it is extremely sticky, and I'm having problems trying to remove the negative, as you can see. So just take your time, because you don't want to tear your template. Okay, what I like to do also too now is to remove the template. I'm going to flip my mat over and gently remove my template away from the mat, being careful not to tear it. Once you remove your flower template from your mat, you'll have some negative cardstock on your mat. Because my mat was so sticky, I really didn't have any, but you could always use your spatula to remove it. Just be careful you don't scratch off the adhesive on your mat. I already went ahead and cut out all 9 of my templates to save some time. So let's get our SVG ready, and I'll meet you in design space. Okay, here's our SVG, and we need to change the base material from cardstock to vinyl. If you're using the Air Explorer 2, just turn your smart dial and this will pop up. Let's go to Browse All Materials. Go to All Categories. Scroll down to Vinyl. Scroll down again to Permanent Holographic Vinyl. Click on that and click Done. Okay, there's our premium vinyl holographic. I'm leaving my blade at default. I already did a test cut. There is my fine point blade is already in clamp B. So let's get our material ready for cutting. Okay, when cutting vinyl, you want to make sure you put the white paper side down on your mat. I'm using the strong grip mat for this holographic vinyl because it's extremely thick. Also, I'm going to use my briar to remove any air bubbles or wrinkles, and also to make sure that it stays well adhered to the mat during cutting, so that way it doesn't shift around. Okay, I'm going to load my mat. Again, I'm going to check my blade for any residue or old vinyl. That looks good. The arrow button is flashing. I'll click on that. C button is flashing. I'll click on that, and it will begin cutting. It's done cutting, so I'll click on the arrow button to release my mat. Okay, I like to weed on my mats like having a third hand. I'm going to use my scraper to make sure that it is well adhered. Also, it will help in the weeding process, and it won't shift around on my mat. When I weed, I like to have the design closer to me and the rest of the vinyl furthest from me, so I'm not touching the mat. Also, I like to take the protective cover of the mat and put it alongside my design, so if I need to touch the mat, I'm not touching the sticky side of the mat. I'm using my weeding tool to lift up one corner of the negative vinyl just to get it started. I'm going to come down on an angle, and I'm just going to remove all the negative vinyl from my design. Next, I'm using my favorite weeding tool. It has a nice fine tip. I got this off of Amazon. I'll leave a link for you in the description box below if you'd like to take a look at it. I'm going to now just remove all the negative vinyl from the rest of my design. Once I feel that I removed all the vinyl, I just turn the mat around a few different ways, so that way I can see if I did remove all the negative vinyl, and it looks like I did. Next, I'm going to get my transfer tape, and I absolutely love this transfer tape. I got this off of Amazon, and I'll leave a link for you in the description box below so you can take a look at it for yourself. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a piece that is big enough so that it just covers my design. Okay, once I have that cut out, what I like to do is I like to take my transfer tape and place that down on the table, and then take my design, turn that over, and place it on the transfer tape. I just think it makes it a lot easier. Then I take my scraping tool and just make sure that I burnish it really well, and I'm just going to trim off the excess transfer tape just to clean the edges up. Okay, that looks beautiful. I'm going to put that off to the side and we'll come back to it. So let's start working on our flowers. Okay, I'm using a dowel, but you could use a pencil if you don't have a dowel. And I'm going to start at the one end here, at the very end. And what I'm doing is I'm just curling the petals over the dowel. And what this does is it breaks down the fibers in the paper, so the paper is not so stiff. And in turn, this will help us to roll our petals more easily when we get to that. See, I'm just taking the petals and I'm just rolling it in. That's all I'm doing. And it does get a little tangled, but just take your time. Okay, once you have that all curled, just try to unravel it if you can and try to get back into its shape. Okay, so that looks good. Okay, I'm going to start at the one end here. You'll see a fine little tip at the end. You don't want to start at the other end where you see that disc. Okay, so I'm just using my reverse tweezers. I feel that the reverse tweezers are best for beginners. It just seems that you have more control over rolling. And these are actually reverse tweezers. So this is from Cricut. Now, as you see, I start winding, and I'm using my index finger and my thumb, and I'm just lightly squeezing the bud so it stays uniform. And at the end, I'm making sure that that just stays together as well, and you'll see what I mean. Okay, see the bud? And I'm just making sure that it's just winding around. Take your time. Okay, just lightly wind the tweezers around as you're pinching and shaping the bud. And keep going. As you can see, try to keep the other end as even as possible. There's the bud. It might take a few practices, but you will get the hang of it. This is one of the beautiful flowers. I just absolutely love this rose. It took me many tries to get this down. So I know you beginners out there, it can be a little bit of a struggle, but I guarantee you will get a hang of this. Just keep practicing. Okay, as you continue, it might get a little bit harder as you go, but just keep guiding it with your hand. Go slow. When you get to the end, just lightly remove your tweezers. Okay, hold the bud in your hand and lightly put it on the table and let it unravel. Not too much, but just to the point where it starts to take shape. Okay, pick it back up. Take that little round disc and bend that down. Take some hot glue and put a generous amount. Be careful you don't burn yourself. Okay, now take that tab and put it on top. hold it down firmly. Put your flower on a protective surface and start lightly bending back the petals so the flower starts to actually look like a real rose. There you go. That looks absolutely beautiful. Let me show you one more time how to roll the template into a rose, and I will speed up the video just to save some time. Take your dowel or something similar and start to curl the petals inward just like so. Once you have completed this, you want to take your tweezers and attach it to the one side and start rolling the flower towards you at the same time using your index finger and thumb and lightly pinch to help mold the bud. Also at the same time making sure to keep the base of the bud even. Once you have rolled the entire flower, remove the tweezers carefully by wiggling. Bend the tab back. Place your flower down and let the flower unravel a little bit based on your personal taste. Now pick the flower back up and add a generous amount of hot glue to the base of your flower. And then attach the tab to the base of the flower, being careful not to burn yourself. Put your flower down on the protective surface because the hot glue may not be dry and you don't want to ruin your work surface. Carefully loosen the petals of the flower as well as slightly bending them so that it begins to look like a rose has bloomed. They look beautiful. Next I take some glitter glue. Just going to make sure I don't put globs of glue on my flower, so I'm just going to put a couple dabs on a scrap piece of paper to make sure that when I do put it on my flower, it comes out in a nice fine line like so. And then I add to all the tips of the petals of my rose. The glitter glue does take several hours to dry, so I'm only going to show you how to do it on 2 flowers. I already went ahead and put the glitter glue on 7 other flowers and I let them dry overnight. They turned out beautiful. The camera just doesn't do its justice, and it's hard to see how sparkly they are. Trust me, they are beautiful. Now let's put together our shadow box. I'm going to take some alcohol and cotton and get my glass ready for our design. So I'm just going to wipe off all the oils and or dirt that might be on the glass. By doing this, it helps the vinyl adhere well to the glass. And I'll set that over to the side and let that dry. I already went ahead and cut my scrapbook paper for our background, making it 8 by 8 inches. That is the size of my shadow box. And to attach the paper, I'm going to take my tape gun and place the adhesive strips around all 4 sides and then crisscross it in the middle of the paper. Next, I place the paper on the backboard of my shadow box. Next, I take my flowers and I decide where I would like them to go. I want 3 rows and I want to space them evenly but not too close to the frame edge. Once I like the flower placement, I will pick up one flower at a time and place a small dab of hot glue on the bottom side before gently pressing them onto the background. And I repeat this until I have all my flowers glued down. Next, I put the back into the shadow box frame. And to make sure it looks good, I only bend a few clamps. So if I need to make any adjustments, I don't have to open them all up, only a few. So that looks good. Now I can press all the tabs down. Okay, so now we get to put our design on our glass. What I like to do is I like to use the other end of my weeding tool. It has that little circle, as you can see. And what this does is it helps to remove the vinyl from the backing sheet. And it just makes it a lot easier. And I don't have to touch the vinyl or the sticky part of the transfer tape. Next, I line up my design on my glass. Okay, that looks good. And I put the middle down first, smooth it from the middle, and then I smooth out to the ends. I gently use my scraper, but being careful not to push too hard. I don't want to break the glass. Once it's completely smoothed down, I start removing the transfer tape by lifting up one corner and coming down on an angle, and then lightly pull as I remove my transfer tape. It came out fantastic. I know it's a little hard to see on camera, the holographic gold, but I'll take a better picture and I'll put it at the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. This project really came out wonderful. I enjoyed myself so much making the flowers and showing you how to do that. If you liked today's tutorial, please give me a thumbs up. Hit that bell for future videos and also make sure you hit that subscribe button. Again, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. And I will see you all next week. Bye for now.